Good evening. Welcome to day 31 of the 77-day video challenge. I think it was earlier today, or just maybe yesterday, I saw somebody shared an item on Facebook that the very things that are depicted in the story of Sodom and Gomorrah are what children are being taught today. And I don't agree with that. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah is among those which have been construed as condemning homosexual behavior. I think it's kind of rather appropriate to counter, as some of you have seen me offer before, those 7 verses of Scripture, known as the clobber verses, with 8 other verses of Scripture. I'll read what those Scripture titles are. They are all from the King James edition. Numbers chapter 23, verse 22. Psalm 22, verse 21. Psalm 92, verse 10. The book of Job, chapter 39, verse 5. And then there are 4 more that I'm going to throw at you. Psalm 29 verse 5. Numbers 24 verse 8. Deuteronomy 33 verse 17, and Isaiah chapter 34 verses 1 and 2 and 7 and 8. Anyway, why are you throwing these 8 passages at us? And why are they significant in the King James Version of the Bible? Because in some translations, in the King James Version, there's a Hebrew word spelled R-A-M-E, which may or may not be pronounced Rameh, which refers to a powerful animal that cannot be tamed. It is a horned beast, wild and untamed, and tremendously powerful and almost inspirational in its majesty. In the King James edition, this word is often translated as unicorn. So by one way of thinking, there are 7 verses which are lifted up and by some as condemning homosexual behavior, and yet in the King James Version there are 8 verses that celebrate the majesty of unicorns. Some biblical scholars would say, well, it's just a misinterpretation. The infallible word is perhaps somewhat lost in translation in this particular case. Otherwise, totally infallible. Totally infallible. I bring this to your attention because it's important that we understand the meaning of words. As Mark Twain once said, the difference between the right word and almost the right word is the difference between the lightning and the lightning bug. The word unicorn may or may not refer to an ox, to a rhinoceros, to some sort of hoofed deer or antelope. It could be any number of animals that may or may not have had one horn. We're not certain, but this is a particular concern which has been lost in translation and wildly misinterpreted. Just as the clobber verses have been taken largely out of context to condemn a whole segment of the population, a population of which I am a member. This affects me personally when people use those words to condemn people like me. And yet, when given the opportunity to celebrate something magical, something mystical, something which finds easy categorization, it's so easy to dismiss these things. And it's not only out of biblical interpretation and questionable mistranslation. We misinterpret things that people say and people write all the time. There's a lot of controversy now about what the founding fathers and some of the early leaders of the United States intended by many of the documents that they composed. So I encourage you to give greater discernment to what you learn from the lessons, or rather to give greater discernment to what you read. Consider more deeply the lessons that we can take from Scripture, from the founding fathers of our nation, and how those remain relevant in your life today. Thank you for tuning in for day 31. This has been a delightful opportunity for me to speak with you. This is a subject that's been on my mind for a while, and I'm glad that I had the opportunity to bring it to you this evening. So I look forward to seeing you on day 32 of the 77-day video challenge. Thank you.